Hello, I'm John Cooper, General Manager at Prairie Farms. We are a farmer-owned dairy cooperative. This means our company is owned by over 600 farm families who are critical members of society. We understand the dedication and care it takes to feed a family because we're all part of a family as well. This June, in celebration of National Dairy Month, we are proud to partner with our friends at Feeding South Dakota to help ensure everyone can enjoy the wholesome goodness dairy brings to the table. Here's how you can help. When you donate to Feeding South Dakota this month, Prairie Farms will match your gift, doubling the impact for families who need it most. Fighting food insecurity is of the utmost importance to both Feeding South Dakota and Prairie Farm. Together, with your help, we can make a meaningful difference to ensure everyone has access to the essential vitamins and nutrients that real dairy provides. Visit feedingsouthdakota.org/dairy to learn more and give today. From everyone at Prairie Farms and Feeding South Dakota, thank you.
I tell a story often of a volunteer that came for the first time, and their responsibility was to put milk in the vehicle, and had a gallon of milk and went around to the back of a minivan, and there's a 5 or 6 year old peeking over the back. And when they set the milk in the car, that 5 or 6 year old said, oh, milk.
Yeah.
And for that volunteer, it was sort of like, you know, I've got 2 gallons at home in the fridge.
Right.
The fact that this child lit up because they're going to have milk in their house is so humbling.
Yeah.
And it just really brings awareness to the fact that, like you said, hunger is real.
Yeah.
Welcome to this week's episode of 50 Faces of Feeding South Dakota. This month of June, we're talking about community-led solutions and the way in which communities across South Dakota are coming together to help fight hunger right in their own backyard. Today, we have some great people joining us for conversation around the community-led solution in Beirsford, South Dakota, how that came to be, some challenges around it, and how they're persevering and moving forward. Thank you for joining us today. Let's start by giving you a chance to introduce yourselves. Tell us a little bit about who you are, how long you've been in Beirsford, all the fun stuff.
Okay, I'm Amy Cooper, and we've been in Beirsford almost 5 years. So we moved there about 5 years ago.
Okay.
So, yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
I'm Mark, I'm Amy's husband. I've been here, same story.
Yeah.
Been there the same time.
That's good. That's good. I always, it's kind of like when you have kids and everybody doesn't know your name. That's just your kids, you know, like my kids are Levi. That's Levi's mom.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
That's Amy's husband.
I'm Amy's husband. That's good. Well, thanks for coming today. So 5 years ago, you moved to Beirsford. And really the work to fight hunger has been happening for about how many years in Beirsford?
Since 2010, about 2010.
All right. So for quite a while. So tell me a little bit about how you got involved with that and what it looked like initially.
Sure. We initially moved to Beirsford and then was looking for a church to attend. And we found a Set Free Church and started going there. And the pastor at that time and his wife were retiring. So they approached Mark and I and said, would you be interested in taking over the food ministry distribution program for the church? And we said, sure.
Oh, yeah, we jumped right on
Yeah,
it.
we would love to do that.
Welcome to the church. Could you volunteer for this?
No,
Pretty much.
It was a big deal because you know, we wanted to function in our town.
Yes.
And become, you know, to know our town better.
Yes.
Yeah.
In which this absolutely made that happen.
Yeah, and it was actually, you know, normally you talk about things like how much time is this going to take for us to dedicate to this, you know. We didn't talk about it. We just immediately said yes.
There was no question.
Yeah. It was just right up our alley.
The next week he started showing us what to do. And they was 3 weeks that we were right on it.
Yep. Yeah.
So what did it look like? What was the thing that you volunteered for?
So we volunteered for their food distribution program, which they called it their food ministry. And it was the senior box program, the TFAP program, and then the food distribution, the TFAP food that came in for just general distribution. So I ran the senior box and the TFAP, and then Mark did the food distribution. It was every Thursday. We served about 140 to 170 families a week.
Wow.
Yeah,
Every
a week.
Thursday.
And I probably served on my TFAP program 70 families a month that qualified for TFAP. And then I had about 34 seniors.
Okay.
And 13 of those seniors, I delivered their boxes every month. I went to Centerville, Viborg, Hurley, and Alcester.
So you got a little bit out because the senior box program is typically by county.
Yeah.
So you got a little bit outside of Beirsford.
Yes, and that was set up prior to me getting there. But, I worked real closely with Feeding South Dakota, of course, on the senior boxes and qualification for people and that kind of thing. So it was a lot of work, but we had a tremendous volunteer base.
Yeah. Oh, that's really good.
Yeah, these people did not attend the church, but they came every Thursday faithfully to help distribute food.
How big of a town is Beirsford?
About 2,100.
100. Yeah, we had volunteered for the food distribution day, just kind of helping out.
Yeah,
Prior
to
taking it over.
Okay.
So we were there every week, and we didn't really know what the need was and the numbers that we were going to be servicing, the number of people, until we took it over. And we're like, wow, it was actually mind-boggling how many people would come through. We would see them come through, but we didn't pay that close of attention to the numbers until we
were in charge.
We were in charge of it.
Right, because you kind of get in the cadence of getting food in cars and maybe seeing some familiar faces, but you're not counting all of the things. So the families that you were seeing come through every week, was it pretty much the same families just needing that continuous food access, or was it?
Pretty much. We did get some new people, a few here and there, or maybe not every week. They would come maybe once a month.
Okay.
Or, we did have quite a few large families, 18 kids, 12 kids, 10
they
kids.
have a bunch.
Yeah.
We know that when we go to the grocery store, it costs us for two people, because we had our two kids were living with us at that time, cost us what it cost, right? I couldn't imagine buying for 10 kids.
Yeah.
We knew that these people maybe needed a little bit more.
Yeah.
So we allowed them to take more of the stuff when they came in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it wasn't just people. I mean, you talked about the senior box being additional communities. What about the weekly distribution? Was that also outside of town?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Beirsford is it's right off the interstate, and it's kind of a hub for all of the surrounding communities like Alcester, Centerville, Hudson. Yeah, absolutely.
They're not far away.
Yeah.
And it's easy to get there.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they may be doing other things while they're there, while they're in town.
Absolutely.
Because there is a grocery store and a pharmacy, a couple gas stations and things like that. Some legal services, a library, I think, if I remember right.
Stores and stuff. So there's other things to do there, but they generally came for the food distribution.
Was the primary.
Yeah.
And then before we got on air here, we talked a little bit about the fact that you were delivering some senior boxes, and you mentioned that you deliver and there aren't vehicles there,
right?
And that is a barrier for food access for a lot of people. And then not having a transportation system.
Right.
There's not a bus system. There's not a way to. There's not Lyft in Beirsford. Nobody's offering that service.
Right.
And so when you can't get somewhere, that's an additional challenge.
Absolutely. Yeah. These people were basically homebound. They couldn't get out. And so when I would deliver their senior box every month, I would grab some fresh fruits and vegetables, because they said that's the one thing they missed, was being able to go to the grocery store and get those fresh fruits and vegetables. So I would bring along bread, and maybe a dessert of some sort for them, knowing kind of what I knew them personally, and getting to know what they like, and so
you spoiled them.
I did.
It was really nice sitting and talking with them.
Yes.
And what's a really nice thing is a lot of them don't get a lot of attention.
Yeah, no, a lot of company.
I remember our first day that we delivered, it took us a long time because we didn't know where they were.
Yeah.
Okay. We had to find all the houses, and we would find them, one by one, and introduce ourselves and come on in. First day took us like 8 hours.
Yeah.
To deliver the boxes.
It was a whole day's work.
Yeah.
Because we would sit and we were in there for 35, 40 minutes talking to these people because they don't have anybody else coming
nice
to talk
to have
to
a
them.
visitor.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it was more than just delivering food.
Yeah.
You know,
And they appreciated it so much, that we would be willing to bring that to them.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, because, I think about even our mobile distribution program. We, as a food bank, can't and aren't delivering those things.
Right.
Now, somebody can come pick up for somebody with the appropriate paperwork.
Right, absolutely.
But, to your point, like if there's not anybody around and accessible to do that, that's a challenge.
Yes.
And you want to try to eliminate as many barriers as you can when you're
Absolutely.
talking about fighting hunger in a community.
Mm-hmm.
So, so you're volunteering this weekly distribution. How did that solution transform a little bit then after you were involved for a while?
So we were involved. It was about 2.5 years, and then we just happened to learn 1st of September that it was being canceled.
Through the church.
Through the church.
Yeah.
Okay.
Not a lot of communication on that with us. And so that was probably one of the hardest phone calls, was to call Feeding South Dakota and tell them that no more food. And but immediately, the team here is amazing.
Yeah,
they jumped
really nice.
right on it and said, we're going to start working every angle to see what we can do to get food back in Beirsford. And it took them 4 months, but they did it. So.
And I think a key part of that you're not mentioning is that you had a passion for continuing
Absolutely.
this work.
Oh yeah, we
Yes.
were on that to see if we could somehow
What can
continue
we
it.
do?
And it wasn't just us; it was our volunteers
Oh, yeah.
were asking, and then we also had some of the people that were getting food were asking them. So it all kind of came back to us. We just said, just be patient. We're working on it. We're going to see if we can make it happen.
We had people offering buildings,
Wow.
Yeah, and the community support in Beirsford is overwhelming. If we needed anything, before it was canceled, a freezer, a refrigerator, some racking, all we had to do was say, boy, it would be nice to have a refrigerator, and one shows up.
Yeah, a week or
So,
two is all you had
yeah,
to wait, and it would
yeah.
just happen.
Yeah. So the community very much backed it. And but like I said, we've had people offer us buildings and, parking lots, and you can do it here and you can do it there. And then working with the ops team here at Feeding South Dakota, they came up with a couple of different locations. And then we did work with the pastor at Zion Methodist Church right there in Beirsford. And he absolutely said, let me run it past my board. And within the next day, he called me and said, we'd be happy to host you guys.
What was that phone call like?
Oh, man. I was like, it was emotional. It
I'm
really
sure.
was. It really
Yeah.
was, because Mark and I became very passionate once we saw the need. Like you go and you help and you volunteer one day and you're like, okay, hey, I helped hand out food. But when we saw the impact, especially when it was canceled, we had people crying, what am I going to do? And it was very, very heartbreaking. But we just kept reassuring them, when one door opens, or one door closes, a bigger one opens. And we sure did come through with Feeding South Dakota and the Zion Methodist Church. It was awesome.
One nice thing that I noticed is that some of the volunteers, a lot of them had been in that town their whole life,
Okay.
or they went into the military and then they came back, and they knew the people in the town, or even surrounding towns. They know them, but they knew that what the need was,
Yeah.
and that's what helped us move forward, was with their knowledge.
Yeah.
Hey, I've got this little bit of an issue. Well, I can take care of that.
Yeah.
I know some people that can take care of that.
Yeah.
Or that's my good friend.
Right.
I've known them for 30 years, and it's taken care of.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Yeah.
Because as you're notified that this is coming to an end through the first church, what are you looking for to continue to move this, to continue? What were your needs? Was it you were literally starting at zero and you had
Pretty
to
much.
go
Yeah.
from the basics all the way up?
Yeah. Pretty much. Yeah. Yeah.
So the space that can accommodate the food storage and the people coming in and the vehicles in the parking lot, all of that had to be
Reestablished,
Reestablished.
And then
we had places that would do that, but we don't know how to get all that started.
right.
Yeah. We didn't have a nonprofit, 501(c)(3). We didn't have that paperwork and that kind of thing. So that was kind of a hurdle for us. And that's why when working with Feeding South Dakota, they're like, we can do mobile. We can do a mobile distribution. So they just immediately started working on that to start. And then who knows, what this will morph into, which,
Ultimately, we would like it to be back the way it was.
yeah.
Why is that important?
because of the community and the need that's there. We know it's vital to that community.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's absolutely vital.
You know, not only were we handing out food every Thursday, but we had a table set up with coffee and
nice.
and so people would sit in fellowship. People would come through the door, and talk about their struggles, and it was just words of encouragement. In addition to, here's some food. This will help alleviate another struggle that you have, but hey, things are going to get better. Things are going to look up. And so we did have a lot of people that we spoke to that were struggling in different areas of their lives, and just being able to support them in that way was even, more rewarding. So
Yeah, it really was.
yeah,
Well, food is fundamental.
absolutely.
And when you can have that need met, you can move on to the next thing.
Absolutely.
Especially when you're talking about families of 10, 10 kids.
Yeah.
That's a lot to worry about
Yeah, it
when
is.
you're not sure how you're going to put food on the table.
Right.
And so, but you guys are like the epitome of hosting.
Right.
I mean, you've got coffee.
Yeah.
I mean, that's so Midwestern.
Yeah.
Come on in for some
Some
coffee and bars.
Yeah.
It was a church,
Yeah.
but we wanted it to feel comfortable.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that was one of my goals, is to try to make it comfortable and open for people to come in. That's what we should be,
Absolutely.
as a church or any place that you're at, should be open. I think if I had another building, I would do the same thing.
Yeah, for
Come
sure.
in, I don't want it to be just come in, grab and go. We didn't want that. That's why when we moved it from car distribution to inside and giving people a choice to pick what they wanted,
Yes.
that's what made all that happen, is bringing it inside, being able to provide the coffee. I mean, they could have came in the past, because we had some product inside too.
The
You could come
bread,
in,
some
the bread was
and-
inside,
Okay.
and you could come in to get that. But this just kind of made it all one big package inside.
And it was fun to watch because our volunteers are so awesome, and they still are working with us through the mobile. But they would be standing at the tables while people are walking through, picking up what they want, and they'd pick up this weird looking squash. What do I do with this? And then
Yes.
somebody would say, "Oh, you just cut it in half, and then you put it in the oven." And so people were giving out recipes and saying,
And that's so important.
yeah, just
Because
community, just engaging.
not everybody knows what to do with things,
Right.
and you don't want to sometimes ask the question, but you've
Right.
created this environment and this safe space where no question is a stupid question.
Right.
No, it
Absolutely.
really isn't. I mean,
Yeah.
that's why we had people all stationed around
Yeah.
the setup that we had. So we tried to make it flow the best we could,
Yeah.
and be workable.
Yeah.
And I mean, of course, we knew that around the first part of the month, the first week of the month, was when we had a big rush of people.
Yeah.
So that's just the way things are. You're out of money, maybe. I'm
Yep.
not sure. But then we'd have the biggest rush then, and then it would be steady the rest of the weeks that we did it. We did it when we were inside.
Yeah.
So you moved from a distribution of putting food in a car, like prepackaged food, putting it in a vehicle. That's an efficient way to get food out. You can do
Right.
it quickly. To this inside model where it's operating more like a pantry, really.
Yeah.
Kind of. Yeah.
People can come in and make their choices.
Sure.
Did that change like the types of food that you put out, or how did that?
Whatever we got from Feeding South Dakota was the same thing. It was just that they had a choice. Because
Yeah.
one of my concerns, and I brought that up to one of my main volunteers, is that I don't know if they're gonna eat those things that we're giving them. I don't know
Right.
what they're gonna do with them. They may not like those drinks that we put in the bags for them. They may not.
Yeah.
They may be allergic to that. I
We
know.
don't want just be thrown away.
So we decided
yeah.
to move it inside and to give choice. And it's a big deal. People thanked us for able to do that.
Yeah.
And then we got to see what worked and what didn't work. Some things were like, I don't know how that doesn't work where we're from. Those things would move, but they don't hear as fast as we would think. One thing in particular was bananas.
Yeah.
We don't understand why bananas are not
Popular.
popular here,
Yeah.
and we just
yeah.
couldn't get as much of them. We
Yeah.
could some, but not a lot. So certain things
Yeah.
would come through.
What were some things that you noticed people really were asking for or really wanted?
Bread.
Bread.
Pastries, bread and pastries, and it's not cheap stuff at the grocery store either.
Right.
And this is stuff that costs money. So
$5 and $6 a loaf. Yeah.
yeah, or pastries too. They don't get them. Kids. I got to tell you, kids like donut holes. They like cookies.
As much as we want them to eat the eggs and the bananas,
Right.
that's what they want.
That's what I wanted when I was growing up. I wanted some sweet stuff, and it's
Yeah.
nice to be able to have those comforts.
Yeah.
Well, and sometimes we'd get these big sheet cakes. You
Yeah.
know, I'm sure they were from Hy-Vee.
Yes.
Somebody didn't
Like the
pick it up.
retail rescue.
Yeah, right. And someone would come through and they would just start crying because it was their child's birthday and they didn't have a cake. And I'm like, here's your cake. And so it was just very, very rewarding to be able to satisfy
I have
that.
goosebumps.
I
Yeah,
know.
it
It
is.
was very cool.
Yeah.
It is exactly that.
Yeah.
Exactly that. When they go, maybe they wouldn't have had that cake, or they would not have anything. And
But it's about more than the cake.
Yeah.
It's about having that thing that is so common for so many kids.
Yes.
That, you were able to provide this thing that feels like normalcy.
Yes.
And it brings dignity to it. And it brings the ability to, it doesn't matter that was a retail rescue cake. It's still
It's still
edible.
like cake.
And
Absolutely.
it means more than just having
Yeah.
the food, right?
Right.
like I said, the sweet stuff was
That was
major.
a big deal. Yeah.
Bread, the sweet stuff was a major thing.
Yeah.
And I think to your point, that's what you wanted when you were a kid. I still want it as an adult,
Yes. Right.
But having that choice, having the dignity to be able to say, giving them that option to say, that's not what I want. And I don't have to take it because you're telling me I have to take healthy food. I
Right.
can take something sweet or different.
Right.
I'm sure there were healthy foods being, canned
Oh,
vegetables and stuff
absolutely.
being
Yeah.
taken too. But eliminating that completely would probably be very disappointing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
When we didn't have bread, and occasionally we didn't have it,
Yeah.
people were like, "Where's the bread?"
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where's it? Because it was an every week thing. You could take as much as you wanted,
That's incredible.
Yeah.
and they were kind of lost. And we don't have that this week. Sorry, it didn't come.
Yeah.
And I know that remember when we got the phone call from Feeding South Dakota when they said that we weren't going to be able to bring as much stuff?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Originally?
There was a little bit of a lull in
Well, it was,
inventory.
and I talked about it, and I talked about it with the other volunteers, and I said, well, they're not going to be able to bring very much. I don't know what we're going to do. Well,
It didn't seem
it
like
didn't
there
happen
was.
that way. You guys didn't let it happen.
Yeah.
We just weren't getting those things.
I
Yeah.
see.
So what it switched to was not so much fresh vegetables.
Yes.
It wasn't. We got maybe a pallet of it, maybe two, and that was gone in the first half an hour.
Sure.
So I talked to the pastor because we would unload with the forklift and everything. First truck rolls in, and there's like 11 pallets of stuff. We were expecting to get like 2 or 3 or whatever. It just moved from like canned goods and those kinds of things to fresh. And you should have saw people's eyes when they came in when it changed to the fresh stuff. Big deal. You guys really stepped up.
Yeah.
Well, we
for
just
that.
talked a lot about the sweet stuff, but what you're referencing is our decision to not put things like energy drinks. And
Yeah.
when you do retail rescue after the holidays, you get a lot of candy.
Oh, yeah. We've had that.
And a lot of that was going out. But really, we want to put food out that encourages a healthy diet. Not that you can't have the sweet stuff.
Right.
But we were finding that in some situations, that's all some people were getting.
Yeah.
And they'd call and say, I'm diabetic. And I
Right.
have a box full of things I can't eat, drink the energy drink and eat
Right.
the candy and
Right.
all these things. And so we made this very conscious decision to say, we're not going to put that into the program. We're gonna try to put things like
It was a good choice.
the
Yeah,
fresh produce
very
and
good
stuff.
choice.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
we were blown away when
Yeah.
when that first truck came, and it just kept coming that way.
Yeah.
People, bell peppers are not cheap things. I mean, vegetables just aren't.
Nothing is
No.
anymore.
Nothing is
Right.
anymore. And I mean, it was just a huge array of vegetables. I mean, a huge variety. Put it that way. Another thing that we would, Amy and I would sit and go through the website and look and go, what are we going to try to buy to
Yeah.
increase what
'Cause
we
we
had?
did, yeah.
Because we
Some
wanted the canned
funds.
goods there, and we would buy with if we can get some enough donations built up, we would buy what we could. But where I'm going with this, when we added all the vegetables in, it made it more of a complete. The canned stuff, it made it more of a complete because they could get stuff that would stay stable,
Yes.
and then stuff that they had
Right.
to use more right away.
Yeah.
Right, so it could last longer.
Yeah, so it
Yeah.
would
You
last
could use
longer.
the fresh stuff up front
Yep.
and then have the canned
Canned
or
goods.
frozen
Yeah.
stuff for later
Yes.
and stretch that out.
Yeah.
I know that we would try to have, like for the holidays, I would try to, sometimes we would donate money to buy stuff from you guys. We wanted to have like a for Thanksgiving, like stuffing and ham or a turkey, to try to make it more of a complete meal. And we were able to do that, right? But we saw this thing on your website, and I think this is a cool thing. It was like a random meat thing.
Mystery meat.
Oh, I can't wait. Like a mixed meat.
Yeah.
But it said it was like random. And there was no description as to what it was. So we stayed away from that. We were like, okay, we don't know about that. We don't know about that. But then one day, let's give it a shot.
Yeah.
Let's give it a shot.
Okay.
This was a big deal.
Yeah.
It was a big deal.
What was it?
It was just all kinds of different meat in this.
Bacon,
We would buy
sausage,
we would buy
chicken.
between 300 and 400 pounds of that a week. And
Okay, did you ever get like the really weird things? Because I've
chicken's feet and
Did you? Because I've been to agency
Liver,
partners where I was like, you got chicken's feet for us?
Yeah.
chicken feet are a big deal.
But that's what I found out.
Yeah.
That for some cultures, that was pretty incredible.
Yeah.
Just like for some having lamb,
Yeah.
when you have lamb, that's having that option that's their meat. That's their preferred protein.
And we would get that. We would get all different kinds of stuff in there. And then we would put it out and there's that, different things that they would like.
Yes.
That was the whole deal about me wanting to make choices.
Yeah.
And since we found that out, it was like a couple, 3, 4.
The mystery meat box for the win.
It is a huge deal.
really
for what we did for people, it was a big deal.
Yeah.
Big
They
deal.
really appreciated it when they came through. There was so many thank yous, and we can't thank you guys enough for what you're doing. And one of the things that the church had said in an article in the newspaper was that they wanted to end this so that they didn't want to meet people's physical needs. They wanted to meet people's spiritual needs. And so that was really hard for us, because when you're meeting their physical needs, you're also words of encouragement, that kind of thing. So it was still meeting spiritually with these people.
Well, and the way you hosted, you had conversation and so I can see where that would be difficult for you to reconcile and say, but wait a minute, we are caring for people here.
Absolutely.
So you had this great setup, this pantry like thing, and then that all changes. And now it's a distribution, and it's a community-led distribution. So that looks a little different than our mobile distributions have looked in the past, where we would have a truck come and a staff member would unload it and stay and then leave.
Yeah.
Now the truck comes and unloads the food and leaves, and the volunteers, and the volunteers take it from that point.
Yes.
So our team member isn't there for an hour, but that you could run that distribution for 4 hours that day if you wanted to. Or if you have a place to store that food, you could spread it out over a couple days and provide greater access. But it did take away that choice that they were used to. Have you gotten feedback on that?
Oh, well, we still give some choice.
Okay.
We know some people don't eat corn.
Sure.
And when we would get that, we don't give them that.
Yeah.
We say, would you like some of the older people? We know they may not like the bread, they may not like the sweet stuff when we don't. Or they'll tell us.
Yeah.
Or
So
they'll tell us.
when they pull up, there's the pallets of stuff, and we'll just say, do you want bread? Do you want corn?
Yeah.
Do you want?
Yeah.
So they still get their commodities box.
Sure.
And then
If there's anything extra. And one of the things that did come up was when we got this reestablished, people were asking, is there going to be bread?
Yes, that was the first
We
question.
we don't know for sure.
Yeah.
We did, because at the time we didn't. And like I say, I got to give a big shout out to South Dakota and your drivers, the guys that deliver. They're
Okay,
awesome.
we didn't bring them on just for this. I just want to make sure that.
They're huge.
I always love hearing the bragging on the staff.
Yes,
They are
absolutely.
awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. The guys that deliver stuff, awesome.
We've never worked with a better bunch of people.
Yeah, I
than
know.
Feeding South
It's
Dakota,
huge.
so.
It really is. It was nice to have it, you guys doing your thing here, and it extended all the way out to us.
Yeah.
You
Yeah, and then beyond into these communities that are coming into
absolutely.
Beirsford. So, so you've got people coming from, not just in town, but out of town. So it's impacting the greater good. So as you look at, it's been 3 months now, 4 months-ish, that you've brought this solution back into the community. What does it look like to keep that going right now?
So we originally working with Zion Methodist, they gave us a 3-month use of their property.
Okay.
And then evaluate after that 3 month. Well, I was given word that it's been pretty much indefinite.
Oh, good.
Yes.
Then we're in August, we'll revisit and just make sure things are running smoothly. Zion Methodist has been so supportive. They even gave us some funds to buy an additional tablet so we can have two
the check-in
lines.
go faster.
Yeah, check-in faster. They, our community, the support, the police department with traffic control, our city, our mayor, the city provides cones and some caution tape so that we can cone lanes so that people can get into lanes and keep, the cars off the street. And even Zion Methodist Church also has some volunteers that come and help. So the pastor's out there for the whole thing. It's really, really cool to see how the community has come together to make this happen. And of course, our volunteers are right there.
And all your volunteers from before just followed along?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
But, it's kind of like when we talked about, how the community comes together. The first day, there was a lot of data entry. We had to enter.
Everybody had to get registered.
Everybody had to get. Some people were there. We had to go find them if they were there, set up for a different location maybe. But the church really stepped up, and they had people inside data entering
On
all
their
those people
laptops
because it was a really nice day. It was -10 that day.
Oh,
Yes,
so
it was
great.
so cold.
Great South Dakota weather.
Yes.
Come on out.
Yeah.
It was cold, and they really stepped up and did that because that would not have been possible outside.
Yeah.
It wasn't. So wherever, like I said, wherever a need was, that was a need, and it happened.
Yes. Yeah.
Another way for the community to do it, and it was necessary.
Yeah.
It's almost like this, this has to be in the community because every challenge that you're encountering is getting met, it's getting resolved,
Yes.
which is almost the sign that this work has to continue.
Mm-hmm.
And so you've had a chance to see now what it's like in the community, what the hunger landscape looks like, and the need. So why was it so important to you that this is in Beirsford, that this continue in Beirsford?
Well, I think for us, we when we took it over and we originally started, we immediately became passionate about helping people and saw the huge need. I mean, the hunger is real. It's real in Beirsford, but it's real in the world too. And we just became very passionate and thought, we can't let this die. It's got to keep going. And I was so grateful when I spoke to the people here at Feeding South Dakota, and they said, we're going to do what we can. You guys up for it? And we're like, yep, we're in. And so we've got the volunteer base, we've got everybody.
Yeah,
and
they're all there for us too.
Yeah.
You just needed the food.
Yeah. And we just needed the food and the location. We already had the volunteers. But I think, on our last day of distribution, we had people crying. We had people devastated because they had been coming here for so long, and it was helping them meet,
so much.
It was a very somber day.
It was very somber. And so and that just made our volunteers even more driven. We've got to get, and like I said, the community, I've got a building. I know someone who, it was just, we were getting bombarded with, try this location, that location. And I was sending Feeding South Dakota email after email. I found 3 more places, so, but we're going to stick with mobile distribution right now.
Yeah.
It's working. Since this started, we've served about 309 people.
Yeah, I took
In
a look
3
at the
months,
numbers because January was the first month, and in March you served about 109, which every month it's increased.
It's
which
increased.
Is,
Yeah. And our next one will be the 4th Thursday. It'll be next Thursday, so not this Thursday.
And you were at, I think you said about 140 a week before.
It was between 140 and 170 a week.
So do you anticipate you're going to get back up to
We
that
hope so.
number?
Absolutely.
We hope so.
Yeah.
We hope so because we were thinking the first month just getting started. We advertised the best we could, to get the word out, and then maybe because it was cold, super cold,
Sure.
Yeah.
people just tend not to go out as much when it's that cold. But as soon as the weather gets a little better, we're thinking it's going to be the same as what we had before.
Yeah.
Which we really appreciate you guys have been able to increase the amount of stuff that we get. It's a huge for you to be able to do that, and we're real cautious. Like we don't want to get too much. Do we not get too much? We don't want to have too much, left over. And there's nothing left over.
Yeah, there really is. And we run out of boxes, the commodity boxes. And then if we have anything left over, we work with Faith in Action and our community cupboard. And whatever each one of those entities can take, we give it to them.
Right.
And then it just ends up back in the community anyway. So.
And Faith in Action and the Community Cupboard, do they operate like a food pantry where people can just come in and they have the space to store the food so they can just pick?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. The cupboard is open every day, Monday through Friday, I believe 1 to 5. And Faith in Action's only open on Thursday afternoons. So so that's kind of a bummer for if you need food, you know. But they are available. I mean, if there was an emergency food need, they would open and bring.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
It works out nice for us that we're there on a Thursday, and they're available on Thursday, and they go until 5. And so if there's happens to be anything left over, they can take that.
Yeah. Or people can come get food
Stuff
through the distribution and then stop there. If
Yeah.
they
Yeah,
they
need
can stop there
extra
too.
food.
absolutely.
They typically service the town, but they never turn anybody away.
Yeah.
They never do.
Yeah. Well, it's, you know, when you've talked about the Senior Box program and the TFAP, which are both USDA programs and both have income requirements on it. But that's also why donated food and purchased food is in that food allotment that comes, because we know that if somebody comes and asks for food, they need it. That's not an easy thing to do.
Right.
And so if they're coming and saying, I need food, but they might not qualify for those USDA programs, we still want to make sure that they can get food.
And having that extra stuff on the truck, the bread, the frozen bag, the, you know, what produce they send, we are able to give those people something. Yeah.
And what's also nice, you guys put effort into making things kind of well-rounded. There's a vegetable in the bag. There's meat in the bag. There's you know all the kind of things you can make a meal out of.
Yes.
Which is really nice.
Yeah.
So so it's not just
It
a
hits
random,
all the food
not just
groups,
all the kind of meets all the I guess you can call it food groups. But creativity, you know, puts you on track with meals for your for your family.
Our food sourcing team does a really great job in building that menu and being able to say, we know that the 50 to 55 pounds of food that are going out through this program isn't enough for a month.
Right.
But our hope is that there's ingredients in there to make, you know, 2 or 3 meals and then have some food to, you know, make more meals, and you can supplement that with your SNAP dollars if you have it, or if, you know, hopefully even with a low, you know, budget for your grocery shopping, there's still enough in that box to be able to, I mean, you can have spaghetti without adding in meat if you need to, but you have a meal, right?
Right, absolutely.
So they've done a really good job of being able to say, what's the right mix here to put things together.
That's why I wanted to keep the canned goods going.
Yes.
That's why we purchased those, so they could hold those for
Shelf
a few days, depending on when they got around to using them. It was just trying to make it well-rounded.
Yeah.
I mean, it was like, I didn't think of the holidays as just being a complete meal for the holiday. It needed to be a complete meal every day.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or as many days as possible.
Yeah. And you talk a lot about the bread and the love of bread, and that's just not something we always have. Milk isn't always something we have. Cheese,
Eggs.
eggs, ground beef.
When those things would come, when cheese
I can
and
imagine.
eggs would come in milk, we didn't get milk too often. Once in a while, we'd get a few 10 or 12 gallons of it or something like that. But those things are a big time deal.
It is, and I tell a story often of a volunteer that came for the first time, and their responsibility was to put milk in the vehicle, and had a gallon of milk and went around to the back of a minivan, and there's a 5 or 6 year old peeking over the back, and when they set the milk in the car, that 5 or 6 year old said, "Milk."
Yeah.
And for that volunteer, it was sort of like, you know, I've got 2 gallons at home in the fridge.
Right.
The fact that this child lit up because they're going to have milk in their house is so humbling.
Yeah.
And it just really brings awareness to the fact that, like you said, hunger is real.
Yeah.
And just think of going without, you know, 70 to 90% of the food you currently have in your home.
Right.
No one
that
should
would
go
be
without
hard.
food.
Yeah.
No one should go without food.
Yeah, no one
You just
should.
see how they light up when they get desserts in the cars.
And bread.
Yeah, and the bread.
They do. Or if we have, sometimes they would come, the frozen stuff would come with ice cream bars and the little cups of ice. Just all
The retail rescue.
Yeah.
It's a mix of things.
Yeah.
You just, you never know. But
when kids were there would be a bunch of kids. You give the kids a little extras of those, you know, because they need that. I think they need that.
Yeah.
And we always tend to ask the parents. I said, okay, if we give a little more of these, sure.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
they brighten up their day a little bit.
Yeah. It is always hard when you have kids in the line to, because you do want to give more. But I'm also drawn to the puppies that are in the car.
Yeah.
Always tell myself, put treats in your pocket.
Yeah.
So I too can give, treats. And then I get to a distribution and I'm like, oh, I forgot the dog treats. You can't pet all the dogs, I found out, but most of them you can. So
We had quite a few people that have dogs in the car.
Yeah.
Well, I want to thank you so much for your passion and your drive to make sure that there's a solution like this in Beirsford. And many organizations, agencies say South Dakota is rural, period, that all of it is rural, right? And yes, we are a less populated state, but when you get to a town like Beirsford and is it rural? No, it's on the interstate. It has some access, but it's far enough away from a city like Sioux Falls to have access to, discount food prices. And there is a lot of industry right in there. There's a lot of manufacturing and there's some ag industry around there that there's employment opportunities. And so people are living in this community, but maybe not necessarily have the ability to afford food. And so I think it's really great that you didn't just let it end, that your passion and your drive helped bring a solution back to the community. So thank you very much for doing that.
Thank you to Feeding South Dakota. I mean, everybody, it wouldn't have been possible without them.
No.
So,
like I mentioned this before, you guys kind of make this a complete package. That's what's nice about it. With us not knowing that in the beginning, and the more we work with you guys, your thought process is to try to make that better and make it as efficient as possible, and you do that.
Yeah.
And you do that.
And everybody we work for has the same passion we do.
Yeah.
Let's get this food to these people.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, before we go, I have a question for you.
Okay.
This wasn't on the list, so I'm going to catch you off guard here. Okay. If South Dakota were a fruit or a vegetable, what one would it be and why?
I would say a fruit.
What kind of fruit? See, now I'm going to go even deeper.
I don't know, something sweet. I mean, all fruit's sweet, but I think South Dakota is a sweet state. It's very sweet. The people are very caring, very generous, very giving, very loving. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm going to go with an orange.
Okay.
I mean, oranges are almost always round, almost perfectly round, right? And that's what your program is. It's a well-rounded program. It really is. I mean, you only deviate when there's a need to deviate, and you make the right choices when you do. And we haven't seen anything that differs from that.
Both very great answers. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us today for this episode of 50 Faces of Feeding South Dakota. What a great conversation around how passion can intersect with our mission to make a difference in a community like Beirsford and all the towns that surround it, for all the people who need food access, no matter where they live or what their situation is. We hope to see you for next week's episode of 50 Faces of Feeding South Dakota.